So 2 quick tips. Number 1, don't be afraid of this thing. Number 2, don't have too much pride. Use it. Okay, so a couple things with navigation. Number 1, if people have never done it before or had no experience with it or experience using a compass, a lot of times they just stay away from it because they feel it's so complicated. And although it can be, we're going to talk today about how simplistic this thing actually is. So simple, easy, effective, how we're going to use it in everyday situations. That's what we're going to cover in this video right now. So I got to catch everybody up to speed. If you haven't watched other videos that I talked about navigation, I'm going to just show you really simply how to put the needle in the doghouse. And if you already know how to do that, it's going to take 2 seconds. So you're going to have to watch it. Don't forward it or you're in big trouble. Okay, so needle in the doghouse. We have our north needle, which in this case is orange. And then on the glass where my finger is on the backside, you can see there is an arrow here. So the red arrow, which I'm pointing at now, to the back end of the arrow, black. So we take the north arrow and we rotate the bezel. You can see that that arrow now I'm pointing to is moving. We rotate this until the needle is inside what we call the doghouse or red in the shed. Okay, so we have the needle in that red, and that is how we put the needle in the doghouse. So now, whatever direction you're facing is what's at the top of the compass. My bezel here, okay, now this is moving because I have a piece of metal, but at the top of this compass now, with the needle in the doghouse, we're at about 194 degrees. Okay, so you can see that. So with the needle in the doghouse, when I take my metal away, we look at the top of our compass, and that number is the degree in which we are facing. Okay, so now that you know how to put the needle in doghouse and you know that the compass finds north, okay, here's what you need to realize. You sitting on your couch or sitting at your picnic table now watching this, me standing here at my school property, wherever you are, if you're a pin in the ground, we have 360 degrees around us. Most people would say, yeah, I know that, okay? So the compass represents that. North is 0, okay? And then we have 1 degree, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 90. And then we keep going, and then we're 180. And you get my point, right? North, south, east, west. We have these degrees all around us. So if I'm here or I'm way down at the other end of the field and I dial 10 degrees to my compass and somebody else dials 10 degrees and we start to walk, we walk parallel to each other. Now the reason I'm saying that is important is because it's going to feed into how the normal person who doesn't know anything about navigation other than how to put the needle in the doghouse and in a second here know what direction they're traveling, that's important. It's important that they understand that anytime we walk that bearing that we are parallel. If we move to another location, we're parallel to ourselves. I might as well say it one more time. You're parallel. Okay, so how does this, the parallel and finding north and putting the needle in a doghouse, how do all of these things feed into just a normal person going out and keeping themselves safe with this thing? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use this scenario that where I'm standing right now, I'm going hunting because we know archery hunting is gonna be starting soon. I'm super pumped about it. I gotta get out and shoot my bow more. But point being, I generally hunt in this direction. So anybody pulls their car up, they can pretty much say we hunt in this direction, okay? So that direction, I'm just gonna face that way. Now I could do this before the season, I could do this if I pull up to a new spot, if I'm going hiking, whatever I'm doing, I know I'm generally going in this direction. I just face my compass, even if it's a base plate compass, I just face it that way. I put the needle in the doghouse, okay? Literally that quick, it doesn't have to be super dialed in, okay? And when I look right now, I am facing 300 degrees, okay? 300 degrees is right there. Now, I'm not going to readjust my compass. I'm not going to set anything else. I'm just going to close it. I'm going to put it back in my bag, and then I'm going to walk, okay? Again, safety measure. That's what we're putting in place with this thing. So I start to walk. I get into my hunting area, okay? I shoot a deer. I track the deer. And then after a while, okay, the sun goes down, it starts to get cold, I realize that I'm a little bit misplaced and I don't really know what direction I need to head back out, but I can find that out really, really quickly with this. Okay, so we know that I traveled 300 degrees in, right here, top of the compass. If you go right to the bottom, right here, okay, to get back out, 120 degrees is what I would need to travel. So what we can do now is we can simply turn this to the top of the compass, 120 degrees. And now when I put the needle in the doghouse, which I can't do the way the compass is set, but that is going to show me the direction back out. So again, just to walk through one more time how we did that. We're at 300 degrees, gets us to our hunting site general area, okay? So if I was there and I needed to walk back, the back direction, all right, is 120 degrees. So I could take 120 degrees, I can put that at the top, put my needle in the doghouse. You can see it's moving because I'm using a piece of metal. Needle in the doghouse and start walking. And by understanding that reverse azimuth that's at the bottom of that compass that I just showed you, that gives us a general direction back. So again, I know that I went in this direction hunting. I dialed it. It was 300 degrees. Once I put the needle in the doghouse, my bearing was 300 degrees in. So when I'm lost and I say, okay, how do I get out? And I look at the bottom of my compass and I say, oh, it's 120 degrees. I put that at the top of my compass and I turn. Now I am headed in the same general area back out. Now why I kept saying parallel, parallel, parallel is because of the fact that while I was in that hunting area, even if I didn't use my compass to walk into there and I'm off a little bit, or while I was tracking that deer, I went this way and that way and then back this way a little bit, you need to remember that wherever I ended up and I realized I was lost, if I dial 120 degrees into that compass, it's going to take me parallel back to where I came from. So it's going to take me in the same general direction. Now it's not going to get you pinpointed right back to your car. So if when I was tracking that deer, I went 600 yards in this direction and then 300 yards in this direction and 600 back in this direction, it's not going to take me right back, but it's going to take me in that general area. So by simply doing this, you're going to get back in the general vicinity of where you came from. Now, of course, if you travel a super long distance, you go into the mountains and you travel 8 or 9 or 10 miles in all different directions and then do this, at some point when you realize you're lost, if you shoot that bearing, that reverse azimuth, and try to get back out, you're going to be way off, okay? You're going to be parallel to where you started, but you're going to be way off. So you do need to utilize this type of skill set in shorter distances, in areas that you can identify things around you and you sort of know the area. It's just a technique in order to get yourself in, but most likely get yourself out of an area when you get misplaced. So it's not overly complicated stuff. Needle in the doghouse, general direction in which you're traveling, know your reverse azimuth out. It'll run you parallel back to where you started from, and then you could find your vehicle or find a road and you'll be good to go. So another tool for the toolbox, but don't be afraid of this thing and don't have too much pride to use it. This was Dan Wowak with Coalcracker Bushcraft. As always, check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com. And until next video, stay in the woods.